Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We welcome you once more to the Lehrman Chapel as we observe Shabbat together. I hope everyone is having a good week and ready for a restful and peaceful Shabbat. Remember, I'm always here for you by contacting my cell phone at 717-460-6444 or sending me an email at rabbi@ohevsholom.org. So let's begin by lighting our Shabbat candles. I'm on page 120. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. We continue on page 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world on this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Shalom Aleichem is on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu is on page 264. Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitfuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et ha'kochavim, b'mishmarotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, borel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umabdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai Tzevaot Shemo. El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. Page 266. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 267. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta, page 268. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha. Ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am b'shiftecha b'vetecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 269. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Nichamocha, page 270. Page 271. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapurei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru, page 272. Is on page 273. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kodei HaKol, V'zocher chastei avot ve'imahot, u'mevi ge'ula livnei b'neihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל HaKadosh. If you turn to page 278, let's continue together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Be gracious, Adonai, our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. Oh, may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Shalom Rav, page 282. We continue now with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah. I invite you to please turn to page 362.
Shelter.
now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Lechol Adonai Hagevura V'Hagevura V'Hativeh Eret V'Hanetzach V'Havod Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz Lechol Adonai ha'mamlacha v'hamitnaseh lechol lerosh. Now we're going to continue along in our journey with understanding this week's Torah portion. If you remember from a few weeks ago, we were in the Torah portion Devarim, meaning words, and we learned a little bit about how this is one long sermon that Moses is giving before he dies at Mount Nebo and before the children of Israel go into the land of Israel. This Torah portion, Ve'et Chanan, talks about the essence of what the children of Israel are going to have to learn once they get into the Promised Land. Last week the words began with sort of a travelogue, and later on we're going to come up to many statutes and ordinances. But this week we're going to hear about the most important part about the Torah portion and what it's going to mean to the children of Israel. So let's begin by chanting the blessing before the Torah. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. This is the essence of what we need to remember once we get into the land. And the way to really understand this line that is recited in every single service that we do is to better understand the word Shema. We're told that this line is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. But I believe that Moses is really telling us that Shema means to listen. And there's such a difference between hearing and listening. So many times we hear background noises, and then when they're over, we don't remember at all what we hear. But when we are commanded to listen, that's the moment when the world gets quiet and we actually listen to words that are going to make sense for us in the land of Israel. And those words are, Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And then the Torah portion continues with what we call the Ve'ahavta, but the Ve'ahavta literally is part of the Shema. And the proof text is right here because it's all written together in this week's Torah portion. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aderach uvshachpacha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uktabtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Now, as Reformed Jews, we end the Ve'ahavta here, and we skip a little bit that's coming along, and we end with Lema'an Tizkaru. But I'll explain to you from our prayer book exactly what the Ve'ahavta means to us. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy unto your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Let's recite the blessing afterward. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. And now in the presence of the Torah scroll, we ask God's blessings on all of us who are in need of healing by reciting and singing the Mishaberach prayer together. It's in your prayer books on page 371. We also ask God's blessings on the caregivers in our midst. We ask God's blessings on those of us whose pain and anxiety is felt on the inside and not seen on the outside. May God bring healing to those who are sick in every possible way. And we say, Amen. Now let's turn to page 374 as we return the Torah scroll to the We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yomad divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei decho beit Yisrael, v'galav izman kariv v'yimaru amen, yehesh shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yittadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata b'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yama v'yimaru amen, yehesh shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen, Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of us who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. Our closing hymn is Adon Olam, and before we begin, I want to thank our musical director and accompanist, Chris Prestia, for making our videos so enjoyable, spiritual, and hopeful. Thank you. And Adon Olam is on page 625. And now let's ask God's blessings on all of us. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant us the Shabbat filled with peace and rest, and a week ahead filled with joy and good health. May God watch over each and every one of us